Hello, lovely Wild Hearts. It's Lisa here. Welcome back to another episode of the Wildheart Diaries. I'm so glad you're here. How are you doing? Today I am chatting over coffee with my friend and colleague Judi Craddock, who is a body image coach. It's a very interesting conversation. We cover a wide variety of topics. I think at some point we've all felt insecure about our bodies, and who can blame us given the messages that we receive from the world at large about how women should or are supposed to look. And today is more about settling into accepting who you are and how you can start to relate to your body in a more healthy way. I think you'll find it really interesting. So let's get into it. I'll see you on the other side. Hi Judy, how are you doing?
Hi Lisa, I'm really well. It's so nice to see you again.
I know, we haven't seen each other for ages, have
I know,
we?
it's been way too long, hasn't it? Well, it's a lot. It must be 10 years maybe, I'm not sure.
I reckon it is. I was just thinking about how we first met. We met at networking, didn't we?
Did we? I thought it must have been through networking. I wasn't sure if someone else had connected us or if we did meet at a networking, but I can remember meeting you at like a coffee shop in Weybridge, I think, is when we
Yeah,
met, one of the first
yeah,
times we met anyway.
yeah. Well, it's lovely to see you. Do you want to tell everyone what you do? The wonderful work that you do.
Oh, yeah. So I'm a body image coach and I work with body conscious women who kind of fed up wasting their life chasing after that ever elusive perfect body. And what I do is just help them to accept the body that they're in right now so that they can get on with more
Oh,
interesting things in their life and the things that are most important to them.
I just feel quite, I feel like you've just taken a whole weight off my shoulders
Oh,
when you say
really?
you don't have to have the perfect body. You can just be in the one that you've got and love the one that you've got now. Oh, isn't that a nice thought?
Well, I mean, it is. I know for most people that just doesn't feel accessible. And I think the
No.
reason why it doesn't feel accessible is we're never taught to kind of appreciate and accept our bodies as they are. We're kind of taught to normalize hating them.
We really are. And so, like, maybe we could talk a bit about that, like diet culture and Botox and fillers and all the messages
Mm.
that we get, not just online. I mean, does the influence start at like where does it all begin? Where did it all go wrong, Judy?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a few key influences on our body image, and one of them is actually just our family of origin. So,
Okay.
if you grow up in a household that isn't very positive about bodies, or you are put down for like your weight or the way that you look, that's definitely going to have a negative impact on you. So, there's like your family of origin, and then you've got just like your culture
Mm-hmm.
generally. So obviously we think about the media as being one of the big influences, so any kind of
Yeah.
content or anything that you can absorb from your culture around you. And then you've also got like your friends and your peers at school, like
Yeah.
your interrelationships that can obviously have a big impact on you. So if you go to school and you're bullied, which happened to me,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
the
did
kids
it?
picked on my appearance, so that can start that off. And then also some personality traits can sort of predispose you to having a more positive or a negative body image. So lots of different influences, and of course they then all interact together.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's so many things I want to we
Yeah.
could talk about there. Well, first of all, I'm sorry that you're bullied at school because that's awful. And
Oh,
I want to say to anyone listening, because bullying is abuse and people don't see it like that, and people don't
mm,
realize the impact it has on
no.
you as a person. And it can be very isolating and lonely if you're a child that's being bullied. And I was going to say, like, I don't know if you felt like this at school, but I always felt like one of the like I was a bit of a floater for want of a better expression. Like I wasn't in it. That's awful. No, I'm
That's a
doing a
lovely
poo.
image
I'm
I've got
doing
there.
a poo. I didn't actually belong to a group. So I would be sometimes with the popular girls, sometimes with the geeky girls. Sorry, I'm really generalizing here. Sometimes with, but I think I did always want to be in the popular group. And I always felt like I had to try harder to fit in, like that not
Yes.
belonging. Can you relate to that?
Oh, totally. I just felt like I didn't belong at all. Like there was
Mm.
something different or weird
Yeah.
about me. And I'd been born in a different country to the UK. And when I started school, I didn't know anyone. I hadn't gone to nursery school. I started school at, I don't know, 5 years old, or was it 5 or 6? I can't remember. It's
Yeah.
so long ago now. And I didn't know any of the kids. And so right from the off, I was different, and I'd come from overseas. So that kind of set me up as different right to start with. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just don't really remember feeling like I belonged to any of the different groups of people. And I just had to try and find someone to hang around with. But even the kids that I kind of did hang around with, sometimes they turn on me as well. When the lead
Oh.
bully was kind of
Yeah.
around, she would sort of influence all the other kids against me. So yeah, I remember primary school being a particularly horrible time for me. Secondary school was much better. But yeah, they picked on my appearance from a very early age.
But you're beautiful.
Well, I think part of the problem was, and I don't mind sharing this, and I know you already know this, Lisa, is like I was adopted. So when I went to school, like my adoptive parents had always said to me, oh, you were adopted, and they kind of made it sound like a very special thing. So I knew from an early age. And so I would
Mm.
kind of go to school and tell the kids about it. And I
Right.
think I gave them the ammunition.
Yes.
So
Oh.
and they picked on me because I was adopted, and they picked on my appearance. And as an adopted person, you don't really know who you look like already. You don't have what's called that genetic mirror to see
Mm.
yourself in somebody else. So if someone picks on your appearance, you can't go home and say to your mum, oh, they said I had a big nose, and your mum says, well, you've got my nose. I didn't
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
sort of validation and reassurance from looking like somebody else. So
Oh,
I think
Judi.
that's kind of how it all started. I kind of gave them the ammunition, and I
But
was different.
that's a wobbly start for a 5 or 6 year old. But also, kids are terribly cruel. Like kids who are cowards, which is what bullies are, but
Mm,
they seek power. Like I almost feel like a shark baying for blood. Like they sniff out the most vulnerable person.
absolutely.
And you just went in there with your heart on your sleeve, just very innocently sharing the truth and honesty of who you were.
Yes.
And then that got used against you. Oh, that's really
Yeah.
sad.
And I
Bless,
think,
bless little you.
oh, thank you. Well, me and my inner child, we work together now. We know about each other, and we care for each other, and we listen to each other. So we're well on the road to kind of healing all of that. But also to layer on top of that, I believe that I am a highly sensitive person as well. So
Right. Okay.
that's kind of another aspect that would have come to play.
Yeah.
So
So
like the kids can sense that, I think, and that's how they start picking on you in the first place.
I definitely think they can. And the people listening, I call HSPs like wild hearts. That's
Yes.
because they're not conforming, so maybe they do feel like a misfit and they don't belong. But so that's the wild part of them. But then everything is heart centered, and they feel everything very deeply, and they're very aware of how other people feel, and they care
Mm.
deeply about animals and the environment and all those sorts of things. But I remember when I used to run a workshop for kids on it was called Friendship Know How, and I bought those um, glow sticks, that you get from the pound shop that you
Oh,
snap to
yes.
make them light up. And I'd put them on their hands. And then we'd say one person was the bully, and we'd like play tag. And I'd say the bully's always after your light, which is what they
Yeah.
sense. Like the bully's full of darkness, has no light inside of them. So I'd get the kids to chase after the ones, see if they could get their light and see how much light they could get. And I said, it's almost like they feed off of your light because they don't have any of their
Yes.
own, or they don't know how to make any of their own. But
That's so true, isn't it? I never thought about it like that, but totally get that.
I think that's the bit that you're picking up on. Like when you talk about a highly sensitive person, they do have an energy to them, a vibe. And I don't even think a bully would necessarily have the wherewithal to know why they were drawn to that person to bully
Yeah.
them. I don't think they would know. They would just feel drawn to them. And
Yeah.
also, I think if your light's always shining, like if you've got your light shining, then they will be attracted to you like moths to a flame, as the
Yeah.
saying goes, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I don't think, I still think it happens now. I still think
Yeah.
police find me even now. They see
Do you?
something. Yeah. Like people who maybe got their own sort of wounding, and they can kind of notice something about me. And yeah, I do find that there are some people that they're not my people, but
No,
the people that I come across, and I feel like I'm the target for them for whatever reason. They're drawn to something about me.
I can relate to that as well because I don't necessarily attract bullies, but I definitely attract people that want my energy.
Yes.
I definitely attract people that I suppose you could call them emotional vampires, people
Yeah.
who take their energy from me. I just read that book actually by Dr. Christine Northrup called Dodging Energy Vampires.
Oh,
And yeah, it's a really
I haven't
good
heard of
book
that one.
to read. And she talks about that in terms of light and darkness and energetically how yeah, like you're a power supply for them and they come and plug into you. And you know that you've been around those people because when you've been around them, you need to go and lie down in a dark
Yeah,
room
it's like, let me just stare at the wall for 2 hours.
but going back to going back to our friends and how that impacts our body image or how we see our bodies, I I don't know. I see a lot of little girls. I'm talking about women in particular because I can't really speak for boys because I'm not one and I don't have any little boys in my life. But I see these
Mm,
little girls and they all want to grow up before their time and they want to be like mummy or they want, you know, they watch these YouTubers and they want to
mm,
be like them or they follow people on social media.
yes.
And I'm just wondering, like, do we have any positive or this has just popped into my head now, like who are our positive body image role models for women? Like for me, as an aging older woman who's 50 next year,
Oh,
I
welcome to the club for next year.
I think of people like Helen Mirren, who probably has had a little bit of work done, but she's sort of embraced aging, I would say, quite gracefully, even though she's in the world of Hollywood, which is all
Yes,
totally fakery, isn't it?
yes.
Do we have any positive like I know you probably couldn't comment for the kids, but I'm just thinking who are our positive body
I mean, for
people?
most of us, our first, as a woman, our first role model, whether it's positive or negative, is going to be our own mother.
Mum, yeah,
And
yeah,
that can go one of two ways. So, if our mothers have a very negative body image, that's not going to
mm,
help us. And so,
no,
for any mums out there, one of the best things you can do for your kids is to work on your
yes,
own body image if you want them
yeah,
to have a better body image. But in terms of people that well-known people we'd know, that's more difficult to comment on because all we
no,
all we see is how they look. We don't necessarily know how they feel about themselves.
no,
So that's a really difficult one to know. We just judge, if they're not doing any work, or maybe they just feel really good about themselves and they're comfortable in their own skin. They may do, or they may not. I think it's easier for us all to just try to find women in our own community,
right, okay, yeah,
or find our tribe of women who have decided that, particularly as we age, well, let's embrace that. Let's not fight
yes,
against it. I love the
yes,
term pro-age, which is about being, satisfied with aging. So not
oh,
wanting to try to continue to conform to these ideals that we've grown up with all our life, which quite honestly, as a 52-year-old woman now, I feel like everything's ramped up a notch. Like
mm,
suddenly
mm.
I'm being told on social media, just any kind of media, that I need to work harder to try to maintain a body that I shouldn't be in because I'm not 20 years old anymore. So
Haven't got the energy for it, Judy, have
no,
you?
I haven't. I think that's the point. It's like, surely age should be a time when we can, let's let go. Let's let go of that
Oh
conditioning
yeah.
and let's just age in peace.
Oh,
Let's
I love
focus
that. Let's
on
just
other
age in
stuff
peace.
that we could be doing. Like, what else can we do with our lives? Like, think of all the time, energy, and money that we'd save and have available for other things
But
if
you,
we weren't so obsessed with youth, effectively.
yes. But are people afraid of aging because they're afraid of dying? But if you're afraid of dying, then you're not living, are you? Sorry, that just popped into my
Yeah, it's
head.
very
Like,
true. Yeah, I mean, that's quite a profound thought. I mean, I think there's two parts to it. It's a little bit complex. It's not easy to separate out. But yeah, I think some people are worried about, and I have this concern. I don't want to be like infirm or to, not be able to or to have dementia and not be able to remember my loved
yeah,
ones. Or I think that is definitely a fear, is that like frailty that perhaps we're concerned
yes,
about. But I feel like the bigger movement is more around, oh well, I'm going to look older, and people are going to think I've let myself go, and I'm going to gain weight, and that's unhealthy. And there's that part of it, which is very appearance focused, which isn't necessarily, or it isn't about health, because
no,
actually, like in midlife, most women will gain some weight, and it has a protective function. It's not something that, oh my God, I'm no longer healthy, I need to do something about this. So I think when we get to midlife, we have to move from the focus on, if we haven't already done so, not controlling our body, to
yeah,
just trying to find a way to care for it that feels good and nourishing for us.
yeah, yeah,
Because there's a very big difference between, thinking that controlling your body means you're healthy, and actually taking care of it in a way that is truly nourishing for your body, and for your mental health as well.
yeah. That takes me back to the inner child, because I just think of yourself as a small child, like 8 or 9 years old, and think about how you take care of a child.
Yeah.
That's how we take care of ourselves. You don't look at an 8-year-old and say, oh, you've got rolls of flab, or your thighs are too big, or your bum's saggy, or you don't look at a child. But we
No.
all have that childlike innocence. We're all just, it's just our meat suit, isn't it, that carries our human spirit around,
Yeah,
really.
it
But we
is.
get we
It's a
get very
vessel.
fixated on, yes, it's a vessel. We get very fixated on how things should look. But all of these preconceived ideas of how women are supposed to look at certain ages and stages in life, they they are cultural, but I do think that they are being pushed by by the media, because it's a money
Absolutely.
making machine, isn't it? If you have to
Absolutely.
keep going losing weight and spending money on this cream and spending money on getting your hair dyed, and it's all just a money making. It's all marketing, isn't it?
It is. Like, and I always say, it doesn't matter what age you are, there will be something wrong with your body that needs fixing, air quotes,
Yeah.
according to diet, beauty, and I hate to say it, sometimes the fitness industry. And the objective is just to hook you in for life, get
Yeah.
you young, keep you going. Because insecurity sells. Like, if we actually accepted ourselves, that wouldn't make any of those industries any money. So it's not
Insecurity
profitable.
sells.
Insecurity sells. And
Yeah,
so
it
that's
does,
the
doesn't it?
purpose. And
It
also,
does.
if you want to look at it from a feminist angle, you keep women feeling fearful and ashamed and small, then we're less powerful.
Yeah. Oh, well said.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I definitely think there is well, I suppose it's changing. I think you can see online in certain communities, there's like a rise of the feminine energy, and
Yes.
women kind of not, I do not consent. I do not consent to this ridiculous way of living.
No.
I, I'm starting to feel a bit like that. Going back to the aging thing, did you
Yeah.
ever used to watch the Golden Girls? Or have you ever
Oh,
seen the Golden
yes. Yeah,
Girls?
yeah, yeah, I did.
Do you know who
Absolutely.
Betty White is? She likes animals. She loves
Yes.
animals. Betty White was she
Cut.
lived till she was nearly 100.
Yes.
And I think of her as in, what sort of old lady do I want to be when I grow old? She was still very active. She was doing a lot of, activist work for saving and rescuing animals.
Right.
Yes, she had her hair and nails done, but she had that lovely white, like
Mm.
shampoo and set all fluffy. Still put her lipstick and her rouge on, and probably had her nails done when she was on the telly. But I've
Yeah.
seen videos of her where she's not all dolled up. She's with the animals, and yes, she's got a little tummy, obviously, but she still like there's a sort of sense of pride in her appearance, but not. It's not this. when you said letting yourself go, it's not about dolling yourself up and making yourself look a
Mm.
certain way. It's doing it because you've got a sense of pride in yourself, and you love and care about yourself. But then also she had the mischievous twinkle in her eyes, and she was a bit picklish, like she just had that spirit in her that I thought, yeah, you're going to live to your 100. You so what? And I want to be like her.
And she was doing something that she found fulfilling and important to her. And I think that is far more important to our health and happiness than trying to maintain a certain look or weight as we get older. And just picking up on that point you said about, doing things like having our hair and nails done and that kind of thing. Look, there's nothing wrong with wanting to do things with your appearance, like, because it helps you feel nice or you enjoy the experience. I think the problem comes when you feel that you're less worthy if you don't do those things.
Yes.
And so it's all about, I guess, at the heart of it is just your intrinsic sense of self-worth.
Yes.
And knowing that you have worth no matter what you look like. So I think a lot of people can feel like they can't leave the house unless they go out with a full face of makeup or have their hair and nails done. Well, actually you can.
Yeah, you can.
You can, and you'll know less of a person if you do that. So
no. But I almost felt at one point in my life, maybe not now, but makeup was armor in a way. It was a way of it was a mask I wore that was like, this is me when I'm switched on, and I'm in extrovert socializing work mode. But the rest of the time, Judi, I'm just hanging out here in my pajamas with my hair up in a top knot, having a time of my life.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, that's comfortable, isn't it? Like, really it feels nice. And I find if I'm not comfortable, like particularly with clothes, you mentioned clothes, if I feel like I can't eat in some clothes, that doesn't just create physical discomfort, that creates some emotional discomfort, because suddenly I'm going, oh, well, your tummy's too big, it shouldn't be. So suddenly that internalized stuff about how a body should look, like, or women should never have a tummy, that can kick in. So I think being comfortable is so important. I think a lot of people underestimate how important just that physical comfort, say, of your clothing, for example, is how you feel in your body.
You're so right, because I did ballet at a young age, and so we were obviously taught to have a strong core, so to boobs out, tummy in, tuck your tail under at the back. And I remember, because I suffered with digestive problems for years, because I was holding so much tension in my tummy, but I literally was holding on in my tummy, because I was sucking it all in. And women do have tummies, and we grow babies in our tummies, and our tummies are meant to be soft and squishy. Like, when you think about hugging a sort of mother archetype, she's soft, you rest in her love. She's not got a bloody washboard stomach, has she?
No. And if she has, she's probably got a whole host of people who are helping her achieve that, which is just ridiculous. It's not something that most of us have got the time or energy to do. And why do we need to? What benefit do we get from having a washboard stomach, unless we're wanting to post it on Instagram to get sort of validation from people we don't even know?
Right, so it's a bit of validation seeking, so it's back to that insecurity and self-worth. But also I think about these poor celebrities who, I'm not a mum and I've never been pregnant, but they have babies, and then they've got to go and appear on the red carpet, and they snap back into their pre-pregnancy weight within, how damaging is that to your body?
Yeah, exactly. It's not designed to snap back that quickly. It's meant to take time, and especially if you're breastfeeding and that kind of thing, you still need the energy to actually be able to feed your child and run around after it, rather than be trying to snap back into a size. It's crazy. And I hate that phrase, get your body back. Well, it never went anywhere.
No, it didn't, did it?
Where did it go?
Been on holiday.
It's meant to change. There's this kind of underlying current or belief that, like, our bodies somehow are not meant to change.
Do you know
How
what it is?
ridiculous.
No, it's right. When you say get your body back, actually it's get back in touch with your body, because you're abandoning yourself if you do
Yeah.
all those things to conform to a societal norm that says women have to look a certain way. It's self-abandonment. It is, and it's almost like self-erasing. In this sort of, women have gone from being stay at home, be the mum, be the cook, be everything, to then wanting independence and going out and getting a job. And now they're trying to be all the things. And I'm not saying you have to be one or the other. In fact, how about that you don't put yourself in a box at all? How about that you're just yourself?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like there's this kind of sort of super woman or super mum type stereotype, you know, that
Yeah,
we can have it all and we can do it all. And that comes at a cost, normally to the woman trying to do it all.
yeah. Spinning all the plates and lying awake at night writing to-do lists, and like, and also I don't know. I just think that we're all really, really hard on ourselves, don't
Mm,
you?
absolutely. And it seems to be, I don't know whether you call it the curse of the woman, but it always seems to be that we are far harder on ourselves than any man would be. Like if a man had to do all the things a woman did, he'd be patting himself on the back all the time. Oh, well done, I took the rubbish out. Well done, baby. Let's party.
But it goes back to, didn't you say right at the beginning, like we're taught to hate ourselves, that we're taught
Yeah.
not to love ourselves. Wouldn't it be a wonderful thing if we were taught about self-love at school? But again, I think that comes from your family of origin. Like, I think
Mm,
the way that you love yourself is the way your mother loves herself, or the way that your mother loved you. Like, it's both of those things in
yes.
unison. Because if your mother hasn't, for those of you that have got the mother wound or motherless, if your mother didn't have any love inside of her and didn't know how to love herself and generate that love, then who's going to teach you that?
Exactly. It's like role modeling, isn't it? So if you don't have a model for that, how would you possibly know how to do it for yourself? So yeah, like that lack of self-love, that lack of um love and appreciation for your body. Yeah, I mean that does, it starts there. Like, you know, most of my clients, when I quite often ask them, you know, when was the first time you remember feeling uncomfortable in your body? And I would say 8 times out of 10, they will recount an incident that when they were quite young, probably before 7 or around about 7,
Mm.
when either their mother or sometimes their father, but more often their mother, is saying something to them about their body, or
Mm-hmm.
she is role modeling a behavior that then, you know, like she won't eat, she's only eating lettuce, she doesn't eat meals with the family,
Mm-hmm.
which then the girl, the family, the children go, oh, okay, well, that's what it means to be a woman. Like I shouldn't eat because, you know, I
Mm.
need to be thin, or my mother's telling me I need to lose my puppy fat, so I'm not okay as I
Oh,
am. So yeah, so we're you know, if our mothers, like you said, or you know, our parents don't know how to role model that, you know, love for themselves, or aren't able to love us in the way that we need to be loved, then yeah, that's absolutely going to translate into us having a difficult relationship with ourselves and our bodies.
I mean, just from a boundary perspective, I don't think we should ever comment on someone else's body.
No,
I don't even think our parents should comment on our
no,
bodies. I,
no.
and the reason I'm saying that is because I can remember, and I internalized that and made it mean, we love you more when you look a certain way.
Mm.
So my mum was always on a diet, and my dad was always on a diet, and we did like the Rosemary Connolly, and we did Jane Fonda workouts with my
Oh
mum,
my
and it was all
goodness.
very much appearance focused. But I can even remember recently someone saying to me, "Oh, you look great, you've lost weight," and I instantly felt like, I felt the knife in my heart, as in,
Mm.
I took that as a criticism, as in, you got fat. That's what I heard. It's not what the person said,
Yeah.
but you got fat, you let yourself go, was what my inner critic said. And then, oh, now you're good again. Now you're good again, the good
Yes.
girl syndrome, because you lost weight. And after that, I just thought, I just can't have people commenting on my body. That's just not okay. I would never say to someone,
No.
I might think someone looks like they've lost weight. I might mentally clock that, because
Yeah.
that's how I see myself. But I would never ever say that to someone out loud. It's boundary breaking to say that to somebody. Do you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's never acceptable. But, it's that whole diet culture. I lay the blame for that, those comments and beliefs around what's good and bad to eat and how we should and shouldn't look. I mean, that's all diet culture stuff. But it's kind of the last acceptable, or something that's deemed acceptable to be said to other people, is about their appearance. Like, most people wouldn't go around saying other things to people in the same way that they say to them about how they look. And it's always, they deem it as like a compliment, but that compliment, like you said, is kind of a bit backhanded, because it's like, well, if you say I'm looking great and have I lost weight, well, I obviously didn't look good before. And all that conversation does, and those comments does, is reinforce this idea that it's good to lose weight, it's good to diet, and if we don't, we're bad. And this is the problem. It's just, it goes around in a cycle over and over again. And it's just normalized. We don't
It
think of it
is.
as being inappropriate. We think of it as
No.
being a compliment.
Yeah. I think what I'm trying to do now is, because of that diet culture, is not restrict or indulge. Like, I'm trying, if I want something, if I fancy something, like I think I said on one of your social media posts recently,
Yes,
I
you
woke up
did.
in the morning and I really fancied jam on toast.
Yeah.
And I went and got some strawberry jam and I made myself jam, because it really reminded me of a certain time in my childhood, and this particular person had died. And I just thought, I really want jam and toast because I'm remembering them today. And that's not, but I don't think, and then the other thing is with over exercising and doing all of that to look a certain way. No, I'm doing it because it's how I want to feel. But I want to get
Yeah.
outside and connect with nature. I need to be outside
So
and plugged
important.
into the sky and the trees and the
Yeah.
birds. But yeah, I think not either restricting or indulging, just listening to your body and going, oh, I fancy that, so I can have it. Don't
Yeah.
deprive yourself.
No, and that's what's called intuitive eating. And it's
Right.
intuitive eating is really just our natural way of eating. And I think if we didn't have diet culture, we wouldn't even have something called intuitive eating, because we'd all just be listening to our bodies and responding to them, and eating
Yeah.
when we felt we wanted to eat, and knowing when we felt full. And what diets do is they completely disconnect you from your body. They
Yes.
take away the trust in your body, so that you feel you have to rely on someone else or something else to tell you what to eat and when. And it just makes us even more disconnected from our body, which doesn't just have implications for like your eating. It's that, like, we're not living in our body. We're not knowing when we are feeling certain things anymore, or we're using things like diets and scrolling on social media to try and numb out those feelings. So it's really quite dangerous.
It really is. And like, I'm not just saying this for HSPs, but going back to an HSP, you live through your heart, through your senses. And it's so important to be connected to, I mean, it is as for any human being to be in their bodies. But I'm saying, particularly if you're a highly sensitive person, because that is how you appreciate and walk through the world, for want of a better way of saying it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, like I just think or my personal experience, and I'm sure it's maybe slightly different for all HSPCs, but I feel like all of my senses are slightly heightened,
Yeah.
probably more so, because I only know that because I'll say, can you smell that? And someone will go, no, I can't smell that. Or I hear
Yeah.
things. But also the other thing for me is, I know I'm also hypervigilant. So I don't
Yes.
know where being an HSP ends and hypervigilance begins, or I'm not quite sure how
Yeah.
that works.
Same.
But I definitely feel like all of my senses are heightened, and, like, that sensitivity to clothing on my skin. I hate anything scratchy or itchy. So yeah,
Yeah.
it is a very kind of somatic experience being an HSP. And I think that's why
Yeah.
it can feel so exhausting, because most people, they go out and they come home and they're like, they wouldn't necessarily be as exhausted, but it's like, God, I feel like I've been around all these people, I've heard all this noise, I've
Yeah.
felt all of this energy, I'm exhausted.
It's so true, isn't it? So on that sort of vein of being an HSP and listening to our bodies, or have you got any tips for our listeners who don't feel at home in their bodies, like things that they can do to start seeing their bodies as this vessel that carries their soul, or as, and do not consent to subscribe to the horrible messages that we're
Yes,
bombarded. Like, we're not just hearing them, we are bombarded with
we
them,
are.
literally, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a few things. I mean, on that note of feeling like we're bombarded, and I know as an HSP myself, it's like you can easily get overwhelmed. And I think there's a lot to be said for, as we were talking about before we kind of went live with this, Lisa, is kind of restricting your consumption of certain things. You know, maybe going on that social media break, or feeling like you're going to cut it out altogether. Or if you don't feel you can do that, you really need to just go through your feeds and see what's in there that is potentially kind of triggering or overwhelming for you. Because there are some things you can follow, some really nice accounts you can follow,
Yeah.
which, you know, are really nurturing and helpful. So we do get to choose what accounts we follow. So those are a few things I definitely think you can do around like the content that you're consuming. It's not just social media either. I mean, I'm a bit old school. I might buy the odd magazine.
Yes.
That's not the same for everyone, but, you know, just be careful what you're consuming with those, because those can very soon send you down a rabbit hole of, before you know it, you're feeling body shame because you've seen the latest celebrity who's been bashed for gaining weight, and before you know it, you think, oh, it really affects you. I used to find that myself personally. I used to love those gossip magazines, but I end up feeling so much shame for my own body and being so critical of others just by reading them. So yeah, there's a great example there.
Closer's one that pops into my head, and
Oh,
Heat, those kind
Heat.
of, like, I don't buy those anymore, but you're right. I mean, like, they're always watching, if you think about people in the media, they're always looking at Meghan's weight, Princess, not Diana, what's her name, Catherine, her weight, she's too skinny.
Yeah.
But again, like, what is that, what sells newspapers? Like, what are we all interested in, how she looks?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess there probably are some people who are still in that place of, well, you know, value equals attractiveness, and so that is kind of their starting point. Whereas, you know, there are others of us who, I guess, we've started to wake up and go, hang on a minute, this is a living, breathing person.
Yeah.
She's not just like, it's like they've taken her and gone, well, you're just like this, you're just this ornament. We'll put you on the mantelpiece there, and we'll look at you and we'll critique you and admire you, without seeing that she's a multifaceted, living, breathing human being with, you know, more to add to this world than just how she looks.
It's objectifying
Objectifying,
people,
absolutely.
isn't it? Yeah. What would you say to somebody who this is what I see a lot with my clients, and I don't know if they're covering up their bodies because they're like you say, hyper vigilant to their environment, and they're very sensitive. And I know myself, I've done this. Like, I've worn a lot of scarves around my throat chakra or around my heart chakra, because I'm protective. Or a lot of my clients wear baggy, oversized jumpers and things, and it's not for comfort; it's actually to hide.
Yeah.
What could we say to them? Like, how could we reframe that or shift their perspective on slowly being seen, being visible, being more visible in the world?
I mean, it's not something where you can just go, right, let's rip off this baggy thing, let's run around with our bra on, or let's put something really skimpy on. That's the worst thing. It's like ripping the plaster off, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the first thing is to, like, you know, to take a close look at what are you hiding.
Yes.
So you can literally look at the clothes in your wardrobe and you know, pull them out and go, oh, okay, this top, you know, why do I wear this? What am I hiding? And literally list out all the body parts you're hiding. You feel that you're hiding with those bits of clothes. And then you can kind of ask yourself, you know, what do I think is the worst thing that could happen if someone saw that part of my body?
Yes.
And then kind of rate each of those body parts from kind of the parts that you feel most self-conscious of to least. And then maybe starting with the least self-conscious body parts, go, well, you know, what are some strategies that I could use to help me feel more comfortable? And it might be, oh, okay, if it say for example it's your upper arms and you don't like wearing sleeveless tops and you kind of been wearing like really long baggy arms, it's like, well,
That's
what could I
me.
do? Could I just put like a little short sleeve top on first and just go for a walk around the park and come home? And
Yeah.
then notice how you feel before. You're going to feel anxious, that's not, and then notice how you feel afterwards. And did that worst thing you thought that would happen? And it
No.
probably didn't. So it's like gradually, baby steps. You don't want to go too far too fast, but that's something
I
you can
love
do.
that. Thank you. And also, I'm thinking while you're out on your walk, feel the wind on your arms, feel the
Yeah,
sun on your skin, smile, like just
yeah,
feel what it's like to be in your body and to be
yes,
you as a human.
yeah,
just going for a walk, because there's that thing, isn't there? Like, I think if you're really insecure or self-conscious, you think that when you're walking along the street everyone's looking at you.
yes,
Everyone's not. They're listening to their radios, they're probably on their
yeah,
phones thinking about what they need to cook for dinner or what they need to buy from the supermarket. But there's that thing, isn't there, where you're thinking, oh god, everyone's looking at me, and they're not. They really are not.
no, they're more obsessed with their own
Right.
issues than they are with you. And like I always say to my clients, like, you are projecting what you think of your own body onto other people.
There you go.
It's not really what they're thinking, and we can't control what other people think about us anyway, so why do we waste our energy on that?
No, it's none
We
of our business, is it, what other
It's none of
people
our
think of
business.
us?
No,
No.
absolutely, we have no control over it. So
Sorry, I interrupted you. Go on, carry
no,
saying what
that's
you were going
that
to
was
say.
it. That was it. That was it.
No, it's fascinating. Thank you so much for talking to me today. Is there a way?
Pleasure.
Oh, you've got a book, haven't you? Is it
I
called The
do.
Little Book? What's it called? What's it
The
called?
Little Book of Body Confidence, 52 Ways to Feel Good in Your Body. And you can get it on Amazon. It's in Kindle and paperback form.
Oh, I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes for everybody, and also we'll put some links into how people can find you online. But what's the best way for them to connect with you?
The best way is just to go to my website, which is heart, as in our beating heart, heartbody.co.uk. And there's all kinds of resources on my website, from my blog to some freebies or information about how you can work with me. So that's the best place to start.
Yeah, Judi's got some great content, and it's definitely good. Like, if you've listened to this today and you can hear yourself in it, don't don't shame yourself or make yourself wrong. Just use it as a starting point to get
Yes.
curious about why you're having strong feelings about what you've heard. And maybe for those of you that like journaling, you can journal on some stuff and perhaps try out that exercise Judi said about going through your wardrobe or looking at what you're trying to hide about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I hope that was useful to your listeners. And the other thing I would say, and I know this is something you're really big on, Lisa, self-compassion is key to feeling more comfortable in your body and more confident in it. Yeah, there's no point in beating yourself up for beating yourself up.
No, and I want to specify the difference between self-compassion and feeling sorry for yourself, because a lot of my clients will say, oh, but I don't want to, like, they think it's self-pitying
Oh, yes.
self-compassion. The self-compassion is about being kind to yourself as you would be to another person, but it's also about universally appreciating that you're not the first person this is happening to. Like,
No, that
we
shared
all
humanity,
we all
common
feel
humanity.
insecure, don't we? We all feel insecure sometimes. Like, some days we wake up and we don't like the way we look, and some days we feel old inside. And I suppose it's about doing little things about the way you speak to yourself, so your self-talk when it comes to compassion. So we've got this thing called the well done game. So every time you do something, you say well done. Like, I know it's crazy.
I can see how that would work.
Yeah, but it also builds self-trust, because you're starting to say, oh, I am capable of doing good things.
Yes.
Because what we tend to notice is all the things that we don't do and all the things that we do wrong. So I always think that's a nice way to start fostering some self-compassion, by appreciating all the things that you do.
Absolutely. And actually, you can do the same with your body as well. That's another great one. An extra Brucey bonus for you there, for those who remember who Bruce
So
was.
would you find parts of your body like if I just take that little freckle on my arm, God, I hated having freckles as a kid, but now as an adult, I'm quite like, well, that's quite interesting. You know, not everyone has freckles like that. So then, and then just like really loving that freckle for a minute.
I would focus more on, like, I think it's more powerful to focus on the function of your body, because
Okay, not the appearance.
yeah, because your different body functions are kind of basically what get you through life. So like you might go, you look at your thighs and go, well, you know, really grateful to them that, you know, they managed to take me on that walk today, or they helped me to run around after my family. And then, you know, focus on another part of your body. Like my eyes, my God, they've enabled me to see some really, truly beautiful things in my lifetime. And
Oh,
where would I be without
yeah.
my sight? And my arms, they've allowed me to hug my family and my loved ones. And
Oh,
how amazing does that feel? And so you can see how if,
oh.
if you keep doing that, after a while, you're like, wow, my body is amazing.
Oh, Judi, I really love that, because look at me, I went straight for the appearance because it's so
Yeah.
bloody ingrained in me. But then when you say
Yes.
it like that, like I always go, look at my chubby little stumpy hands. These lovely hands have enabled me to write loads of blog
Yeah,
posts
and all
and
those
a
wonderful
book. And
arty,
yeah,
crafty
like,
things you've been
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
So welcome. Pleasure.
And you're very welcome to come back and talk to us anytime you like.
Oh, I'm sure there's so many different topics we could talk about. We could talk all week, I think.
I know I could talk. There's so many things. Yeah, we'll have to do it again. All right.
Love to.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.